What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're covering some more r/am I the butthole. If you'd like to skip the initial waffle, timestamps are in the description and along the timeline below, but if you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe, just maybe, that notification bell too, if you're feeling extra spicy, of course. And if you're a cheeky so-and-so, you can click that join button down below to join through YouTube, or that Patreon link in the description to join up there. It is very much appreciated, and with that being said, I don't know why I'm spinning in my chair right now. That doesn't help with a microphone. Let's get started. Much love, guys. Now, our first story comes from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for invalidating my mum's depression? My mum neglected and emotionally traumatized me until I was able to move out and cut contact with her at 17. Many years of my childhood were spent taking care of her the way you'd care for a disabled and bedridden person. This included bringing everything, food, drink, etc. to her bedside, cooking, groceries, house chores, parenting myself, and so much other stuff. She would repeatedly scream my name from the bedroom that we unfortunately shared. When she needed something and maintain unattainably high standards for everything despite doing nothing. I pretty much didn't have a childhood. We never left the house. She deliberately sabotaged my social life because she was jealous of me not spending time with her. So I had no friends. She also had some severe anger issues. I call her signature move the demonic scream cry. So I was always walking on eggshells as a kid and literally lived in fear with zero self-confidence. My mum has improved at a lethargic and incremental pace and now wants to fix our relationship because she's changed. I said no. She's extremely upset because she says the reason she couldn't take care of me all those years was because she was depressed, so it wasn't her fault, and I'm an arsehole for holding it against her. She says that my attitude through those years was extremely unpleasant. I was angry about the situation then too, so I became difficult, which didn't make it easier for her, so apparently owe her an apology for being a dick as a kid. I honestly regret not being more of a dick, as I told her as much. She legit burst into tears and said that she's been even more depressed for the last couple of years and that it's my fault for leaving. I honestly don't care, so I told her that the fact that she was still depressed made me even less inclined to start a relationship with her when she thinks her mental health problems have absolved all her sins. Now she's pissed because I'm discriminating against her mental health issues and not taking mental health seriously. I feel bad, but I don't think mental health is an excuse for that kind of behaviour. I have my own really bad mental health problems, but the difference, I feel, is that I never said I was going to hang myself from the ceiling fan because my younger daughter didn't love me enough. And then there was clearly some comments below that's going to say, why do you think you're the arsehole in this situation? Because there's an edit which says, I think I'm the arsehole because I'm my mum's only hope for emotional support. She has no friends and the rest of our family is mean to her, so she can't turn to others for help. I have a strong opinion about taking mental health issues seriously, but that's not how this is coming across. And then there's an edit for more context which said, my mum became disabled when I was 3 due to a car crash that killed my dad and her dad. It was an extremely traumatic and life-altering event that our family has clearly not recovered from. So she has a genuine reason to be miserable. I think this is why most people still praise her mothering and push me to rekindle and be lenient. She stopped working after the crash, but her disability didn't make her bedridden, and she'd still have been physically able to take care of herself and be a normal parent. Some people were interested, so here's some extra context and some extra context. My post history is also filled with the context, and those links were just, basically post history and other posts as well. And then there's a further edit which says, some people think her apologising would help our relationship. This isn't true. She apologised several times since I cut contact. Some of them were genuine and decent apologies, but most of them were something like, I'm sorry but, or I'm sorry you feel that way. These apologies usually preface her defending herself, and I'm extra uninterested in that. Regardless, an apology doesn't really matter to me at this point, and even an apology that's genuine and exactly what I want to hear wouldn't change anything. Also, I'd appreciate it if people who want to tell me I lack respect / convince me to give my mum a second chance and remind me of how short life is and everything else of that genre stayed out of my DMs and made a comment like everyone else. And we're going to start off with not zombie, just Ginger on this one saying, not the arsehole, you heard her out and she clearly isn't better. She's still blaming a child for her bad parenting. She still doesn't understand that if you are a parent with an illness which interferes with your ability to care for your child, the responsibility is on you to either to get sufficient treatment or find another caregiver. You have no obligation to once again be saddled with a person with, I'm assuming, untreated mental illness. And Impossible Olive says she's got to accept some responsibility and reflect on why you might not want a relationship. You are not doing anything wrong and your reasoning for not wanting a relationship is valid. even though she is teeing to emotionally manipulate and guilt you. Depression is rough and it can affect your actions, but that doesn't free you of the repercussions of your actions. If she's truly changed, accepting responsibility is part of that. And Alex Flexing says, not the arsehole, your mum didn't care for you. Why should you care for her now? She probably misses having a slave around, so she wants you back instead of having to pay someone as she gets older. And Cleveland Cray says, not the arsehole, not only did she neglect you as a child, she is now attempting to manipulate and gaslight you back into her life. You need to take care of yourself, and if that means little or no contact, she needs to respect that boundary. Until she is able to accept and own up to her actions, she won't get better. You are under no obligation to have a relationship with her. And now I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story is from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for calling my wife a helicopter mum after she called the place my son applied at? My son James just turned 16 this month and he decided he wanted to start working a part-time job, just to have some extra spending money and to start saving up. He hasn't had much luck. I doubt many places are interested in hiring a teen with limited hours to work. James started to get annoyed with my wife after he found out she submitted a few applications for him. We had a whole talk about that and reminded that James wants to do the job hunting on his own. Over a week ago, James applied at a local clothing store he likes to shop at since he's familiar with the place. He was told the usual line when he spoke to the hiring manager: "We'll review your application and give you a call." He was really to hope to get this one, but after a week, he figured they were not going to call. Earlier when I got home, there was some tension. James was locked in his room and my wife seemed upset. I spoke to him first and he told my wife called the store earlier and berated the hiring manager for giving my son false hope and lying to him about giving him a call when they clearly weren't going to. James heard the call from upstairs because she was yelling, and when he confronted my wife, she said she was just as angry on his behalf. They should have called him anyway to let him know he didn't get the job, but obviously they are only going to call the applicants they actually plan to hire. He's angry at my wife right now for interfering, and now he's going to be too embarrassed to go into that store again since they know who he is. I also confronted my wife and she kept saying that she was only looking out for him. However good her intentions were, I told her she needed to stop being a helicopter mum here or she could ruin opportunities for him by interfering. My wife went to our room and shut the door. James wants an apology from her for embarrassing him. My wife says she did nothing wrong and is mad at me for calling her that. She said I was the one being an arse for not caring if our son finds a job, and it's not fair for me to criticize her when she at least gives a damn. With the way she's being right now, I have to ask if maybe I went too far and was an arsehole for calling her a helicopter mum. I think this is just one of those situations where the truth hurts. She is being a helicopter mum in this, and with experience myself, my very first job ever was in a clothing store that's renowned for taking on like 16, 17-year-olds straight out of school, people just looking for a bit of extra money. And it's a pretty well-known store in the UK. I was working like 12 o'clock at night until like 6 in the morning. I was like tagging clothes, exciting stuff, right? But they hired a lot of people, and you often heard is like parents phoning up on behalf of their children to try and get a job, and they would never get a job if they can't phone themselves or they can't approach the store themselves and apply. There was no way they was getting a job just because of that. So what mum did in this situation is basically sabotage any chance he had. I don't blame James at all for being pissed off in this situation. I would be too, especially when he is actually trying himself as well. Let the guy try, man. It's the only way he's going to get that life experience he needs. But Waderman says, at least your son recognizes that his mother is way out of line. That saves you the worry that he will grow up to be a weak and scared because of an overbearing mother. Whew, not the arsehole. And Ronit says, not the arsehole, what your wife accomplished is everyone knowing your son as the guy whose mum calls and berates the manager for not hiring the guy. What did she actually want to accomplish with her little shouting match? Angry on behalf of the son? Nah, that's a load of bull. She's actively interfering in your son's life, making her a helicopter parent. And Sleuthing Sloth says, not the arsehole, one call from a parent will send any teen's application to the bin. She owes your son an apology and needs to step back. And Quietly Consumed says, not the arsehole, kid has basically zero chance of getting that job now. She went too far. And Nomendacius Rex says, not the arsehole, no employer will want to hire your son with your wife sticking her nose in. And word does get around, your wife is totally 100% the arsehole here. Now, I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation? Do you have a different opinion on the matter? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story is from Effort Top. Am I the arsehole for not lending my fiance $2,000 and telling him that if he can't pay rent to me, then he has to leave my house? I-22 female have been with my fiance 30 male for 5 years. We've known each other for much longer because he was the son of a family friend. My fiance is not responsible with money. He owns 2 cars, buys a new video game every week, and eats out more than he should. Our finances are not combined, so it does not bother me as much as it would otherwise. I'm a lot more responsible with money. The other day he told me that he needed $2,000 as he was down to his last $40. I was frustrated and told him I'm not a bank and he needs to manage his money better. He then told me he has bills which will be direct debited from his account next week. I asked him when his next paycheck is and he told me it will be on Friday, but he has to pay me rent and electricity. Nowhere near $2,000. I suggested to him that if he needs $2,000 then he should sell one of his cars, but he refused. I told him that I was sorry, but how will he pay me $2,000 back? He proposed that I charge him less in rent so he can pay me back sooner. I told him no, he only pays $100 a week in rent. Well below market value, despite the fact that I live in a 2-bedroom home, and he turned the second bedroom into a gaming room without my permission. I wanted it to be a sewing room but let it slide to keep the peace. A mistake, I know that now. I tell him that he can wait until he gets his paycheck to pay me rent, but that if he doesn't do it then, he needs to find another place to live. I have a mortgage to pay. It's only me on the deed, so it's not like I'm absolutely swimming in money. He left to stay at his mother's house and obviously told her what I had said, because next thing I know, I'm getting non-stop calls and texts from my mother who is telling me that she didn't realise she raised me to be so selfish. Even my sister who hates my fiance is telling me I'm in the wrong. Edit, well, it's been 35 minutes and I have a lot to think about. So dude is 30 years old, still can't manage his money, owns 2 cars, buys video games every week, and can't pay you $100 a week. Hell no, you're not the arsehole in this situation. And how dare your family members say otherwise? And I almost burst out laughing in the middle there when he turned around and said that he proposed I charge him less in rent so he can pay me back sooner. How the fuck does that work? What an absolute cheeky bastard, right? But Ronit says, let's play my favorite game. Count the red flags. Number 1, he started dating you when he was 25 and you were 17. 2, he is 30 now and can't manage money. 3, he has multiple cars and is basically living paycheck to paycheck. 4, he lives with you and pays $400 a month in rent. What does he do for work? 5, he takes over your home without your permission. 6, he asks you to give him $2,000 and proposes to pay you back by you charging him less in rent. 7, he runs home to his mum to complain about shit. 8, his mum calls your mum and sister and they give you shit. What the fuck? I could go on, but you get the point. You do, right? I'm tempted to call you the arsehole if you don't. Not the arsehole, for now though. And Elin says, not the arsehole, 22 is rather young to be a mother these days, but you seem to be a natural at parenting and setting rules and boundaries for a child. And Zombie Draft says, not the arsehole, honestly, you should reconsider the engagement. He doesn't pull his own weight in the relationship. The gaming room story tells me he doesn't really respect you and see you as an equal. Maybe because of the age difference and him knowing you as a kid, it is hard for him to see you as a grown-ass woman. Don't let him walk all over you. You don't want to be with someone long-term who isn't responsible with money, especially if you want to have kids, but also if you don't want any. And Sleuthing Sloth says, not the arsehole, if he can't pay you $100 per week, but can have multiple cars, eat out often, and buy games often, then he's comically bad with money. Strike 1. He didn't sell one of his cars and came to you for money, instead showing a severe lack of personal responsibility. Strike 2. He then went to complain to mummy. Strike 3. He's clearly not ready to adult yet, and I don't even know why you're with him. And Lay says, and quotes, he proposed that I charge him less in rent so he can pay me back sooner. That's one hell of a lose-lose situation for you. Jesus Christ, girl, get out. You've said and done all the right things. He's a grown man. He's more than old enough for you to expect some semblance of financial responsibility and prioritizing from him. He clearly cares a lot about himself and his ability to do what and buys what he wants. He turned your second bedroom in the house you own and that he's barely paying for into his gaming room. Bloody hell, the fact that he ran off to his mummy is all the more proof that he's a freaking toddler. Do you really need that in your life? Not the arsehole. And now I turn this one to you guys. We know where it's going. We all know where it's going. But what would you do in this situation? Would you immediately kick him out or how would you deal with it? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story is from Am I the Arsehole Burial. Am I the arsehole for refusing to let him be buried with my childhood treasure? On throwaway due to privacy. This is complicated, but please hear me out. I, 22 male, have a stepmom and deceased stepbrother. They've been in my life for 2 years, but I don't see them much. Maybe once a month. Well, I know it's cruel to say, but I respect them, but don't consider them my family. My brother, 12, passed 2 months ago, was sick with cancer and knew he was going to pass. He wanted to be buried with a trinket from all his loved ones. His mum's pearl necklace, my dad's dog tags, etc. He knew I had a Red Bull Beanie Baby that I keep in my car, on trips and in my bed. Have had it for years, it's my treasure. When he asked to be buried with it, I said no, but that would get him anything else he wanted. He was upset, and when he passed, his mum demanded I give it to her to be buried with him. I know she's grieving, so I try not to take it personally. She saw it in the car last week when I came to visit and screamed that I'm an arsehole for not giving it to him and how she's going to tear it up if she sees it again. Here's where I might be the arsehole. I told her flat out that she would not be touching my stuff. That I'm sorry he passed away, but until she seeks therapy and stops taking it out on me, then she can kiss my relationship with her goodbye. She's telling everyone I'm an arsehole, and my dad is saying me avoiding her is ruining her health. And we're going to start with Mazarinth on this one, saying not the arsehole. Asking people to part with their possessions to be lost forever with their corpse is a dick move. He's too young to realise what he was asking, so not faulting him for it. But his mum should have more sense than that. And Curious Belgian says, not the arsehole, he was dead, it is of no use to him. She is obviously having a hard time, but that's because her son died, not because of you. And Black Tangerine Sky says, not the arsehole, you only knew him for 2 years. I don't think you were being unreasonable in asking him to choose something else. It's odd that he would ask for it when he knew how much it meant to you. I say keep your distance from mum and the keepsake out of sight. He died 2 months ago, and it's a little late to bury it with him now. And Sunny Girl says, not the arsehole, you offered him an alternative. He didn't choose anything. That's not on you, and I'm sorry you're dealing with your stepmom, taking her grief out on you. And now I'm going to turn this one straight to you guys to see what you guys think in this situation. Do you think OP should have just given up this Beanie Baby, or do you think he was right in saying no, but you can choose something else? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story comes from Nice Transportation. Am I the arsehole for wiping hand sanitizer onto my hair after someone touched it flirtatiously? I went out with this guy and knew the instant I saw him that I did not find him attractive whatsoever, and was not going to. His pictures weren't really misleading per se, but they also didn't really show his appearance very effectively either. I'm a very awkward person with Asperger's and didn't know what to do, so I politely sat through the date. He repeatedly brought up how beautifully he found my hair. I have red hair and certain people fetishize it, which I hate. I didn't know he was that into my hair until we were on the date. I tried to change the subject to neutral things. Anyway, after a polite amount of time I said I had to go and he insisted on walking me to my car. I opened my car door between us so that in case he tried to have some physical goodbye, there would be a barrier. I said goodbye to him while standing on the other side of my car door and started to get into my car. He then reached his hand across my door and put it on my head and stroked my hair. The fuck? I was filled with discomfort and I'm something of a germaphobe. I keep liquid hand sanitizer in my car door, so I squirted it into my hand and rubbed it onto my hair, then drove off. He then texted me and said I was very rude, and I deleted his contact. What I want to know is, was I rude to use the hand sanitizer? It was just my natural reaction. I hated the feeling of his germy hand on my hair. Who goes to stroke someone's head after a date? It just, the whole scenario, I was picturing it in my head, and it was just way too creepy for my liking, and I think that was a funny way to let him know that, yeah, I'm not into that. Just put the hand sanitizer in my hair to clear those germs off. I love this post. I think it's a great one, and I'm going to say absolutely not the arsehole in this situation. You know, it's very strange to go and stroke someone's hair after a date, and he was crossing boundaries big time. Literal boundaries. He's putting his hand over the car door. The boundary she put in the way. But Rosalish says, not the arsehole, sanitizing your hair is hilarious though. That was the perfect response to show him that you did not appreciate that. And Fabulous Phoenix says, not the arsehole, you are my hero. He was a jerk. He invaded your personal space. He's lucky he didn't get hand sanitizer in his eyes. And Lonehurst says, not the arsehole. Was he on a date with your hair instead of you or something? And Shady Pines Mars says, not the arsehole, too bad it was uncomfortable for him. The guy who chose to touch your hair without consent. Hopefully lesson learned for him. And Ethel says, not the arsehole, what a creepy weirdo. Just a heads up, you don't owe anyone a full date. If you're done, you can leave at any time. Just pay the bill and say, okay, I think I'm going to head out now, have a good night, and walk away. You don't even have to stay for their response. Now, I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation? What would you do? Let me know in the comments below. Once again, guys, thank you for being here today. I hope you've enjoyed today's stories, and if you have, you know what to do. Hit that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too. And if you're feeling extra spicy, you can join the channel by clicking that join button down below for YouTube, or clicking the link in the description for Patreon and joining up there. It is super helpful, keeps me going, and just a huge thank you. And I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.